Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of The Whole Brain Child, 12 Revolutionary Strategies to Nurture Your Child's Developing Mind, by Daniel Siegel. You're a stressed-out parent, juggling demands, fighting with your kids over homework, and resolving sibling conflicts. The PTA moms and dads who have it all together, who cook flawless meals and never lose their cool in front of their kids, are they your constant source of self-doubt? As parents, we sometimes feel like we're barely scraping by, when our ultimate goal is to see our families flourish. An insightful and practical guide to parenthood, The Whole Brain Child is an excellent resource for parents. Neuroscience-based parenting skills and tools are provided in this book to assist parents in coping with the challenges of modern parenting. To help our children and ourselves thrive, we are also given practical ways to use those moments of survival. Teach your children how to listen, communicate respectfully, negotiate, and forgive when they are fighting for the third time in 3 minutes. As our authors point out, if we were asked what we want for our children, we would most likely say that we want them to be happy and successful. Using everyday moments to build a child's potential is the key message. This book isn't just for parents, it's for anyone who has a role in caring for a loved one. In The Whole Brain Child we find wisdom and strategies that can be put into practice immediately, whether we are a parent, grandparent, teacher or therapist. In order to better understand how we react in a given situation, we need to understand how our brains work together as a whole. At the end of each chapter, the authors include helpful summaries, such as the ages and stages section, a refrigerator sheet, and concrete suggestions for putting the information into practice. For the most part, we have no idea how our children's brains work or how we can support their development, which is why it's so important to understand how the brain's integration process can be broken down into 5 distinct types. Marco, who was physically unharmed but was extremely distressed after a car accident with his babysitter, is a good example of the importance of integrating the left and right brains, the vertical and horizontal integration, the memory integration, and the integration of self and other. As a result of the incident, an ambulance was dispatched to transport the babysitter to the hospital. Ia was the name he gave his beloved caregiver, and woo woo, the description of the noise the ambulance made, when Marco told his mother his story at 2 years old. Over the next few weeks, Marco's mom helped him tell his story numerous times, including a crucial end part where they went to visit his caregiver, who had recovered well. Marco's mom helped him retell the story numerous times. A positive effect on his brain's integration was achieved through his retelling of the terrifying event. How should we assist our children in their integration, though? The brain is an enormously complex machine, with many different parts working together at the same time. People's reptilian and mammalian parts of the brain differ in their focus on relationships and survival, respectively. Having a healthy mind means that all of the brain's parts are working together in harmony. When the left and right sides of the brain work together, this is called horizontal integration. The more reasonable prefrontal cortex can take a breather and re-evaluate thanks to vertical integration, which involves the brain's intuitive and primitive parts. Helps the hippocampus make memories that aren't as clear as they should be, so that we can better understand what happened in the past. Changing the way we pay attention is another way to bring together a variety of ideas and experiences. When it comes to our children's mental health, we can take advantage of their built-in capacity for social connection. Our kids' experiences from birth help to constantly rewire their brains over time so that the different areas of the brain can connect more easily and constructively. Nevertheless, one side of the bank depicts chaos, where children feel out of control and in upheaval, while the other side depicts rigidity. As a result of their inability to adapt or compromise, they are on the rigid side of the spectrum. Let us take a closer look at how to help your child maintain a healthy balance between the left and right sides of their brains, as well as how to help them shift back when they stray too far in one direction or another. Katie, a 4-year-old girl, developed a fear of school after she was sick in class one day. How do you make a thrive out of a survive situation? Each hemisphere of the brain performs a different set of functions, which are explained by the division of the brain into 2 halves. The left side of the brain enjoys working with cause and effect, lists, logic, and language, whereas the right side prefers working with nonverbal aspects like images and emotions. When faced with adversity, we want our children to maintain a healthy balance between reason and emotion. Like Katie's story of her battle with her fear of being sick in class, when raw emotions lack the logic of the left brain, they tend to float to the bank of chaos. However, if they suppress their feelings, they end up on the rigidity bank. Here are 2 ways we can help children integrate their 2 brains. To begin, we can assist children in learning to connect and redirect their emotions. Making a right brain to right brain connection is a good place to start when dealing with right brain emotional waves. To put it another way, use a right brain remark to connect with your kid. "And I know that did not feel good, did it?" her father inquired, perplexed. His story for Katie came together only after this, with more logical details. Attunement is the first step in the process of connecting the right and left brains. Acknowledging feelings through empathy, compassion, and non-judgmental listening is called attunement. By letting our children feel felt, we create a safe environment in which they can think more logically about the situation or problem at hand. Integration of the left and right brains allows for more efficient problem solving when the brain is in an integrated state. It does not imply a disregard for boundaries and rules, nor does it imply a quick fix to problems. Emotional stress is lessened, allowing you to connect and then refocus. In order to access the left hemisphere and retell the story of a frightening or painful experience, use the second strategy, name it to tame it. Helping a child make sense of an event can be as simple as telling a story or as complex as using drawings and play to do so. After helping Katie tell the story of the time she was sick in school and how her dad was always there to pick her up, he helped her realize that school was fun, her teacher cared about her, and she could rediscover a love of learning. Type 2 is characterized by the integration of the brain's upper and lower regions. When children's emotions are out of control, it's difficult to teach them how to make wise decisions. There is an upstairs and downstairs section of the brain that we'll look at now. The lower part of the brain is where the basic functions like breathing, reflexes, and intense emotions are located. With more light coming into your brain, you can see things more clearly and make better decisions. We want our children to be able to balance their emotions and logic, face their challenges, and learn from their mistakes. For raw emotions like Katie was dealing with, the bank of chaos looms large. If, on the other hand, they deny their emotions, the balance will tip in favor of rigidity. To help our children build the imaginary staircase between the two levels of the brain, we should remember that a child's brain is always a work in progress. In order to better integrate our brains, we can use these two methods. To begin with, we need to determine which side of the brain we want to appeal to. Engaging the upstairs brain instead of trying to stop the rage from brewing in the downstairs one may help alleviate tension. To prevent your child from losing their cool, you can ask for more specific words to describe how they feel and then maybe ask them to come up with a compromise that works for everyone, or begin negotiating. What we're trying to do here is make sure that our kids have a lot of practice using their brains upstairs. You can't go wrong by giving them an option. Younger kids might be asked what kind of shoes they would like to wear on a given day, while older kids might be given the opportunity to debate the pros and cons of purchasing a computer game now versus saving their allowance for a new bike later. After that, they'll have to deal with the fallout from their choices. We can better understand ourselves by asking ourselves why we did things the way we did or how we felt the way we did. Investigating the possible causes of another person's tears or distress can also help us develop empathy. When we discuss hypothetical moral dilemmas, we encourage the development of morality. All of this should be modeled by our actions, of course. However, what can we do if our child is emotionally distraught and unable to communicate with the higher brain? The next step is to move it or lose it. It's important to remember that when we move or relax, our emotional state shifts. Getting your heart rate up and your blood flowing can do wonders for relieving tension and stress. Memory is the third and final aspect of integration, respectively. When it comes to recalling the past, memories aren't like photocopiers that produce an exact copy of what happened. An event's emotional significance is always present in our memories because the hippocampus stores memories with a layer of emotion. We can't just take things out of a filing cabinet when we need them, either. It is common for children to draw conclusions about the future based on their memories of the past. Afterwards, they respond in kind. An implicit memory becomes explicit and easier to deal with any fears they may have once it is spoken about and understood. As adults, we have a responsibility to help our children remember and process difficult events in their lives. Once you've completed all the pieces, you can put them together like a jigsaw puzzle. Here's a way to help children better integrate their implicit and explicit memories. It's referred to as operating with the remote control of the mind. Recounting a traumatic event can be beneficial, but it can also be upsetting for a child. An internal DVD player equipped with a remote control will allow us to implement this solution. The story can be paused, rewound, and fast-forwarded using an imaginary remote control. With the benefit of replaying it in their minds safely, they can fast-forward through the scary parts or pause when it's difficult. A bad memory can be tamed a little bit with this tactic. However, in the end, we must help them retell the entire story, even if it is painful or frightening. This strategy is called Remember to Remember, And it's all about incorporating positive family memories into the narrative. We can help our children remember and tell stories about these events by praising them for their efforts. It doesn't have to be a massive event, small events are just as important. A memory book might be a good idea. It's easier for them to understand the current situation if they can draw on the experiences of the past. The United States of Me is the next level of integration. Children's memories, feelings, and thoughts can be integrated to help them better understand their minds. It's empowering for them to learn that they have some control over how they feel or respond to a given situation. Using Siegel's concept of mindsight, we are able to see what's going on in our own heads. He compares the hub of awareness to a bicycle wheel to illustrate his point. The center of the wheel has a hub, and the rim has numerous points or spokes. Our ability to connect deeply and thoughtfully with ourselves is facilitated by the executive functioning part of the brain, which is represented by the hub. Herein lies the nucleus of our consciousness. Our thoughts, feelings, and memories all have a place on the rim, and it's easy to get stuck there. Reminding ourselves that we are more than the thoughts and fears we tend to dwell on can help us shift our focus and energy elsewhere on the rim. 6-year-old Jason was terrified that the ceiling fan in his room would fall on him in the middle of the night because of his irrational fears. Using the hub in the center, he was able to shift his focus away from the fan blades, which had been giving him anxiety, and onto the other rim point. In addition to how much he was protected by his parents, he described how much fun he had during the day. Additionally, he could use imagery or other relaxation techniques to assist him in calming down. We have two other options if the wheel of awareness is too difficult for children. We have the option to let the clouds of emotion roll by, just as they do in nature. Using this method, children can learn that they are not their emotions. Their ability to discern temporary from permanent states of being is enhanced by the distinction between the phrases "I am lonely" and "I feel lonely right now." As with the weather, emotions come and go. They exist, but their occurrences are sporadic. There's also sift, which is a process. Sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts are all referred to as sift. Help children sort through physical sensations, such as butterflies in the tummy, images that may be worrying them, such as an embarrassing moment at school, and feelings by using this acronym. The ability to use specific words like disappointed rather than more general ones like sad is helpful if they have a large feeling vocabulary. It's also possible for children to learn that they don't have to believe everything they think. Encourage them to counter the untrue claims with their own. Additionally, we can help them calm themselves down by teaching them visualization techniques or imagining a peaceful and calm place. They can learn to separate themselves from the storms raging around them if they can access a state of stillness and calm. Self and other must be fully integrated as the last step in the process. Also called the me-we connection, this is a common way of connecting people. Empathy and the ability to see the world from the perspective of others can be taught to children with a little help. Here we come to the fascinating discovery of the mirror neuron. When someone else does something, our brains go into overdrive. We can help our children develop a greater capacity for empathy by fostering their natural empathy. Seeing someone in tears can cause us to shed tears as well. When we are exposed to the feelings and actions of others, our bodies automatically react. We imitate their behavior. As a result, our children can learn to empathize with others without losing sight of their own identity. It's imperative that we continue to cultivate experiences that lead to meaningful connections. We have two options for accomplishing this. One of the most important things you can do as a family is to enjoy one another. Play more games together, incorporate a little silly into the equation, and create unique experiences. It's a good reminder of what it means to live in harmony with others. That being said, it doesn't have to be a good time all the time. As a final strategy, we can ask our children to connect through conflict when they argue or complain about something someone said to them. Their reactions to this person's behavior can be analyzed without being defensively retaliated against. They can deduce an individual's emotions just by looking at their nonverbal cues. If they get into a fight, we can talk about how to mend fences afterward. An act of kindness or an apology letter could accomplish this. In the end, it's not always easy to be a parent, and we often have high expectations for both ourselves and our kids. Because we assume that a child's brain will function in the same way as ours, we have high expectations for him or her. We tend to overlook the importance of stimulating and encouraging children's whole brain development when it comes to nurturing children. It doesn't matter how imperfect our own childhoods were, we can still raise our children in a loving and nurturing environment. When parents have a better grasp of the brain, they can be more deliberate about what they teach their children, how they interact with them, and why. When it comes to your child's development and integration, an all-encompassing approach like this can make a huge difference. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.